So we're officially in the arse end of 2019 now, but still the great value budget blowers coming. The likes of Xiaomi and Realme have just launched fantastic affordable handsets lately, and now it's Nokia back into the fray with its 7.2, which is finally launched here in the UK. So basically, if you're skint and desperate for a new mobile phone, then it's a glorious time to be alive. The Nokia 7.2 costs around 230 quid right now from the likes of Amazon and Carphone, and yet it boasts a triple lens Zeiss branded camera, a 6.3-inch HDR ready display, and stock Android, with a guaranteed 3 years of software updates. But is it really as chuffing awesome as it sounds? Well, I've been using the Nokia 7.2 as my full-time personal handset for a week now, and here is my in-depth review. And for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Now first up, the Nokia 7.2 is some serious eye candy. HMD has shunned the popular glossy finish and gone with a metallic style sheen instead, which really does shine when it catches the light. I especially love this green model, although you can also pick up the Nokia 7.2 in white or black if that's just a bit too much colour and excitement for you. The Nokia 7.2 isn't actually made from metal despite that sheen though, it's actually constructed from a polymer composite, which is apparently even lighter than aluminium, although at 180 grams the Nokia 7.2 definitely still has a pretty decent heft to it. And to make sure it's really no wimp, HMD has smothered the front and back ends of this phone in Gorilla Glass 3. And so far so good, because there's only a single super light scratch on the screen itself, and the back end is as good as new. Overall, it is a distinctly Nokia phone, and in my opinion one of the best looking budget blowers of 2019 so far, although like every other smartphone also launched this year, it's an absolute f***ing unit. Boot up the wee bugger and you have a choice between the rear-mounted fingerprint sensor or face recognition to get it unlocked. That scanner works a charm, although admittedly it's not the quickest around, and neither is the face recognition, which is often puzzled in anything but reliable lighting. Still, once you actually do unlock your blower, you'll be greeted with this lovely stock version of Android. It is, after all, an Android One device, which means that you get 2 years of guaranteed OS updates and 3 years of security updates for extra reassurance. Unfortunately, however, the Nokia 7.2 is still stuck firmly on last year's Android 9, so no swanky gesture navigation or dark mode in sight just yet. Here's hoping that update to Android 10 comes sooner rather than later, because after all, it's not like there's any kind of clunky overlay to tweak or anything like that. Now, HMD has left the Android OS pretty much untouched here, bar the addition of that face recognition. You do get a bit of bonus gesture support as well, but not as much as a Motorola blower, nor is there a dedicated one-handed mode, although you can at least drag down the notifications bar by swiping that rear fingerprint sensor, which is definitely a godsend because this thing is flipping massive. You also get a dedicated Google Assistant button right here on the left edge of the Nokia 7.2 as well, something that I've never really seen the point in, to be perfectly honest, because it's not exactly much of a chore to say hey Google, and if you are feeling a bit self-conscious about talking at your smartphone, then you're probably not going to be using the Google Assistant anyway, so yeah. If you find that you keep accidentally knocking that button or whatever, you can actually disable it within the Nokia 7.2 settings menu, but unfortunately you can't remap it to another feature or preferred app, which seems like a bit of a missed opportunity. Still, in better button news, the power button also doubles as a notifications light glowing whenever something is demanding your attention, which is very cool indeed. And I also quite like the Nokia 7.2 6.3-inch Full HD screen as well. Visuals also reasonably crisp. There's not too much notch action intruding up on the top there, and on top brightness is definitely powerful enough to stun a yak. Not that I actually tried stunning a yak, just full disclosure there. Colours look perfectly natural, and impressively the screen is apparently HDR10 compliant as well, which is pretty damn rare at this price point, although streaming services like Netflix don't offer HDR support for this blower. The Nokia 7.2 can upscale SDR content on the likes of Netflix and YouTube to near HDR levels of contrast as well, although I've got to admit I didn't really notice any obvious difference when watching video. Only a proper side-by-side comparison reveals any little improvements to the quality, with things looking a bit brighter in certain areas. As for the speaker setup, well, it's just a single downwards firing mono speaker, and it's not the most powerful or punchy around, unfortunately. Let's just try a bit of that out.
30 quid for in some New York bar. Everyone's banging on about how amazing it is, but you try it and you're like, is that it? I just paid 30 quid for it.
It's fine if you're in quite a quiet environment like this, but once you go out into the noisy outdoors, suddenly you're kind of struggling to hear what's going on. But hallelujah, you do get a 3.5mm headphone jack up top, and the Bluetooth connectivity proved to be perfectly dependable here on the Nokia 7.2 as well. Now, Qualcomm's Snapdragon 660 chipset powers the Nokia 7.2, backed by either 4 or 6 gigs of RAM. This is the more basic 4GB model, and unfortunately I found over the previous previous week, the performance was about as smooth as a badger's arse. I didn't see any horrendous crashes or anything like that during my time with the Nokia 7.2, but just like last year's 7.1 handset, you will notice lots of little stutters and pauses as you skip between apps, scroll through websites, or do pretty much anything at all. It can get rather frustrating at times. As for gaming, well, it is perfectly possible to play the likes of PUBG Mobile on those lower detail levels, but you'll once again see a fair few stammers as you jaunt about the place, capping fools and having a merry old time. As for the battery life, absolutely no complaints there. The Nokia 7.2 packs a 3500 mAh cell, which isn't one of the biggest around, but it'll still easily give you a full day of use, even with a bit of Skype action, media streaming, all of the good stuff. Well, I've got to say, manufacturers of budget blowers have really upped their game on the camera front recently, with the likes of Oppo and Xiaomi throwing out triple or even quad lens camera extravaganzas in the past few months. The Nokia 7.2 is definitely keeping stride with its own tri-lens setup, complete with that usual bit of Zeiss branding. Here you get a 48 megapixel primary shooter backed by an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle snapper and a 5 megapixel depth sensor, all housed in a neat sticky out circular chassis. The photo chops are definitely comparable to rival handsets from Motorola, Oppo and the rest. The colours look nice and natural, and vibrant subjects really stand out, and while the detail levels could be stronger with quite soft results once you zoom into a pic, your shots will still look pretty crisp when checked out on a laptop, say. And of course, the usual foibles do soon crop up. Indoor snaps appear quite flat, while low light is also a struggle. Thankfully, you do get a dedicated night mode, which really helps out, producing brighter yet more balanced results. And the portrait mode is pretty reliable on the whole too, with a variety of swirly effects to choose from, including some Zeiss branded efforts. Swap to that ultra wide angle lens though, and you can grab a different viewpoint, but the colours really suffer, as do those detail levels. Frankly, the test photos were grainy and a bit dull. And while you can use the night mode with this lens, it doesn't actually really seem to do anything at all. On the video front, you can shoot up to 4K resolution footage, although you better be pretty damn still while you do it. The image stabilization is next to non-existent. Detail levels are nice and sharp and colours are naturally reproduced, plus you got that Ozo audio feature which does a solid job of capturing everything happening all around you. Overall, for a budget blower, it ain't bad, although as usual you want to avoid shooting at night because the results really ain't great. There's also a 20 megapixel selfie camera which can grab decent looking pics at any time of day, with a screen flash mode to help out at night time. The portrait mode actually works pretty well despite that lack of a depth sensor too. It didn't get fooled very often at all. So after a full week of using the Nokia 7.2 as my personal handset, would I recommend it to you fine folk? Well, it's kind of a tough one. I really do want to like it. There's lots of great little bits in there, but overall it is a tough sell. That old Android setup will hopefully be sorted in an update soon, and there's lots to enjoy from the great battery life to the sleek design, but the rather shonky performance makes for a more jittery experience than you'll find on rivals from the likes of Xiaomi, Oppo and Motorola. So that's what I think of the Nokia 7.2, but what about you lovely people out there? Have you got the Nokia 7.2 stashed in your shorts or your handbag or wherever you stash your smartphones? Definitely be great to hear your own personal thoughts and opinions, and if you're tempted by the Nokia 7.2 or put off by it, definitely let us know that as well. And please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech. Cheers everyone, love you!